Hey guys, so it's Saturday afternoon. I'm actually done with classes. Saturday used to be pretty busy, but I've kind of consolidated things. I used to have one evening class, and she's moved to the afternoon, so that's kind of cool. It's two kids classes and then one adult class, and then I'm done. There was also an online class in the past, but they moved to an evening during the week. So the new teacher will have plenty of real estate to work with on Saturdays. It's usually the busiest day for eikaiwas, in my experience. Back in the day, my first job here, I was actually the only one in on Saturdays. My boss ran kind of a pretty light operation in terms of staff and stuff. So the staff were only there sporadically during the day on weekdays, and then on Saturdays it was just me, which was kind of interesting. But it was really busy. I think I had 7, sometimes 8 classes a day. I was making him like almost the equivalent of my salary one day a week, which is a good deal for him, but extremely busy for me. But actually, that experience, being able to like essentially run an English school by myself, in the sense that I was the only employee there for the entire day, added to the confidence that I could probably one day do what I'm doing now. So that was good. It's funny how things come together. That place we also relocated because the numbers were just dropping where we were. It was one of these old style arcades. Most Japanese cities have them. It's like the equivalent of an outdoor mall. There'll be all these storefronts and then a huge arching roof, and sometimes they connect to other long archways like that. I think it's because of the rainy season maybe. I'm not sure, but recent developments in the city kind of pulled traffic out of that area, so we relocated, and I watched the school build up over the years there, which again added to the confidence that, hey, wait a second, I'm part of the reason the school is succeeding and getting busier, so I think maybe I can do it myself. So I did. But those times are, yeah, that was 12 years ago, early 2009. It's amazing to think, in another 12 years I'll be in my early 50s. And in 12 years, that boss will be, let me think, he's 19 years older than me, so he's 58 right now. So, yeah, in 12 years he'll be 70. Nuts how time passes. And I don't know quite what he's going to do at that point in his life, to be honest. Which is another reason I'm getting out of this game here. So what else is going on? Not a whole lot. As of yesterday, it was a month till my final day here. And I just, this adult student I have on Saturday afternoons, she only comes twice a month, it's kind of a nice deal actually. You don't make as much money naturally, but it's kind of nice to have a break during the week. Or at the end of it especially. I don't know what it is. Only 3 classes on Saturday, but I'm just like, when I finish. I think it's kind of just the momentum of the week and everything, the fatigue kind of just catches up with you. It's like, okay, I'm done. So, yeah, I always get her scheduled for the next month at the end of the current month, or her last class in the current month, and she pulled out the calendar. I don't think I have a copy here, but no, I don't. It's only 3 months long. It's January, February, March, and then that's it. So I gave everyone like a third of a piece of paper with the calendar on it. And she's like, oh, that's right. You're out of here. I'm like, yep, it's coming. Praise be the Lord. No, I don't want to say that. I mean, I do have mixed feelings about getting out of here for sure. It's kind of just a nice spot. Like, I've invested a lot of time and energy over the years. It's a pretty nice office, a convenient area, but I'm at the point now where I feel like teaching classes is like interrupting me, which is not a good sign. That's definitely a sign that you're more focused on other things than you are your day job. And you know what they say about quitting your day job. So there's that. But it's gonna work out really, really well. I'm thinking everyone's gonna be happy with the outcome. I think the parents are happy that I'm taking the time to kind of ease the new teacher in, and that I've been very timely in explaining what's happening. I think it was early December. I told them end of March will be the end of my time here. I'm going to try to find somebody, and then the new teacher contacted me and said, hey, I want to do this in December. So by January, I was able to send a notice out that, hey, this is the new teacher, and then so on and so forth, you know. It's good to do things in a well-planned, stable way, especially when customers are involved. It's just like, and you can't overestimate how valuable being reliable is in business and in life too. You know, there's something about it. If you have a friend that's unreliable, you just kind of, it's hard to maintain the friendship. You just feel like you don't want to make time for people who are unreliable, you know, and it can lead to like these some of the really negative chains of thought where you're just like, you know, F that person, what's wrong with him? But really it's just that original feeling of being irked because you know, budgeted some time for someone and they didn't show up, they weren't there, they didn't live up to what they were going to do, and it's just, they're unreliable. You don't want to make time for them. It's as simple as that. And I think that's a good way to look at it sometimes. You have to be objective, you know. And you also have to understand that you also have a role in things, and you also make an impression on people based on your behavior and whatever you say. And that one can be easy to overlook sometimes, but you become very aware of it in business because you're representing yourself, and you're entering into a relationship where people are placing their trust in you and giving you their money to do something you say you're going to do, you know. So that's a good experience to have gone through for sure. The new job is going to be challenging in different ways. I'm noticing the original struggles I dealt with in ESL, where with students who clearly aren't trying very hard or clearly have very unrealistic expectations. And in the past it used to kind of bother me, but at least with ESL today I can just be kind of like, well, you know, they're just coming here for a class, so don't focus on anything else except trying to teach them, you know, whatever they're able to comprehend at this point, and then leave it at that. You know, it can be hard not to get all worked up and angry. And I had one coworker who used to just go insane, like all the time, about students, and had these amazingly high expectations of them. And he's the guy that could barely speak Japanese and ended up just kind of toasting his life in general. Which is, it's hard to see. I'm not laughing. I don't think it's funny, but I don't think it's any big surprise either. You can only get away with so much. So yeah, so with the new job, you know, students are budgeting time, you know, in and around their working schedule, family life, other commitments, and so not all of them have like the ideal environment to study software development, which is very similar to studying English here in Japan. The only big difference is that most of the students have an aspiration to get a job in the field, so there is a higher level of expectation, or it's easy to project one at least. But you still run into the same issues where it's obvious this student isn't really trying, and they're not putting in the effort they should be, you know. And sometimes that's just because they really are busy. Other times it can be they just got into it because they made the mistake of kind of viewing education as a commodity, where it's like, you know, you pay X and you get Y, where it's not like that at all. It really depends on what kind of previous experience you have, what kind of talent, how hard of a worker you are is a really big one. It's not so much about talent or intelligence, although those things are very, very helpful in anything in the world. But it's also about how your staying power, how long you can stick at something without getting frustrated and giving up. The frustration will come; it's inevitable. There's a certain rate which your brain, on a neurological level, seems to process things, you know, and then the frustration a lot of times can come from a combination of being fatigued and then trying to force yourself through it and trying to kind of absorb things faster than that kind of neurological speed limit, you could say. I think there are shortcuts, but those also take some time to cultivate. You know, the whole meta learning or learning how to learn. But for the most part, we're kind of more or less stuck with how we learn something. And if if you're not the studious type, if you're not really interested in learning new things, and that's not really a part of your personality, as you've noticed with students in ESL, I'm sure, you're not going to improve very quickly or very much at English. And the sad part is with software development, luckily the company I work for, the courses are very, very affordable compared to what the average coding bootcamp is. I mean, we're talking about on the order of like 25% or maybe slightly more of what you see out there. So it's an extremely reasonable investment, but still, it is money, and people do have very high expectations. But then there's this kind of disconnect with people, where it's like, I paid the money, it's like, yes, but now you really have to take advantage of the resources, ask questions when you're stuck, tell us what you've been trying, study passively, read books, read articles, read other people's code, learn how to use the debugging tools in the console, all these things, without which progress is it's kind of impossible. It's the same deal where you get an ESL where students will have the expectation that if they come to English class once a week for an hour, they're actually going to like make noticeable progress and then be able to use the language. There are cases I've known. There's actually one mother whose daughter comes here. She speaks almost perfect English, and she hasn't really studied since junior high, and all she did in junior high was just the normal curriculum, which, assuming she's probably a little younger than me because her kids are younger than mine, so I don't know. She's somewhere in her 30s, I would guess, and that means she was in junior high 15, maybe 20 years ago, maybe a little more, 25 would be pushing it, but so what is it, 2020? So mid-90s, you can bet the curriculum wasn't anything like it is today, but somehow she managed to do it. So there are exceptions, there are outliers, but as educators, we need to be, I think we need to have the right motivation and the right perception of things. And I caught myself, unfortunately, dealing with one student. We only deal, for the most part, in text, messaging back and forth. And occasionally, my coworkers and I will make videos and post them, because sometimes problems are a bit too complex, or there's too many steps to just talk about. So that helps because you can control the tone in writing a lot easier than in speaking, and your facial expression, your posture, and all that. But yeah, I think it is like ESL, and teaching ESL in Japan is a very good way of training patience and empathy, because a lot of the times we deal with just like extremely simple English, stuff that's almost never an issue for anyone who uses the language normally, but for students, it's a different story, and so instead of getting frustrated, you need to kind of just be able to, I don't know, it's this weird sense of openness and friendliness that it's important to remember that the time you're being paid for is a service you're giving, and to focus on the quality of the service, you need to eliminate negative emotions, And for some reason that can be difficult. I'm not quite sure why. So, but it's interesting how I noticed it kind of flaring up in my new job, and I'm kind of noticing the similarities in it between teaching ESL and teaching software development. So I've jabbered quite a bit, but yeah, things are going good. Just got one more week left in February. And I'm actually taking a day off next week again because it turns out it's the Emperor's birthday. And I'm seriously dealing with some fatigue issues. I'm just getting like really tired. Like that long term, like I've been working for a really long time, and my body has actually changed over that time type of tired. So I just sent a notice out to my parents on that day. They're like, hey, look, sorry, I made a mistake in the schedule. I need to take the day off. It's the Emperor's birthday. It's a holiday, so go somewhere, go have fun. No classes on Tuesday. I feel like that was a smart move because I need to get my taxes done too. I keep putting them off, and every year it's like this crash. Like, you got to do them. God damn it, I really don't. But I really do, because if I don't, I'm gonna end up paying a ton of money. And that's not something I want to do. So I pay a one lump fee to my tax accountant after I prepare everything, and then he handles it all. He's even going to handle notifying the government that my business is closing and everything. So one more elephant I will not have on my back come April. I think I should probably be able to handle the taxes for January, February, March for this year by myself, because it's not going to be much income. And it turns out, if you are not a permanent resident and you are being paid from a company abroad, which, as I am doing, you don't have to pay taxes here in Japan on your income. So that's a big load off. And I won't be making enough from university classes over the year to, well, actually, no, I won't, to have to claim income or pay taxes here. So that's awesome. It's super expensive. That's one of the scariest things about starting a business, is making it through those first few years where your bills just skyrocket and your income is like just really low. Closing that gap is the hardest part, I think, and that's the easiest place to kind of sink under. Anyways, that's it. I'll post another update when there's something to talk about. All right.